Perfect.
There you go.
We are excited that we're finally together. My name is Heather. This is Heather. We only work with Heathers. I'm just kidding. But we are really excited to be able to host this together because for a lot of reasons, because we love each other, but we love each other. But
To be determined.
If it wasn't for, like, she's become one of my closest friends over the last couple of years, and if it wasn't for coaching, I wouldn't have her in my life. And I think it's really cool that you just find your people with this business because it forces you to really level up and work on your best self. And I've like lost some friends along the way for good reason because they weren't my people. And I've really found like some really amazing people. So to be able to run this together is really cool. So we're going to share a little presentation with you. Look at that. So cute.
So you guys can see that. So I always get confused with everyone
Showing up down there.
Yeah,
but
I think they can. I think, yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
All right, you want to just go to the next one? What is coaching? Okay, we're going to quickly go through our story. So I said, my name's Heather Demers. I'll be honest, I had no desire whatsoever to get into coaching. I thought every negative thing you think about network marketing coaching is what I thought. And so I'm like, I will never get into something like that. I had my job, corporate life was fine. I found my coach's transformation scrolling on Instagram one night. It was a few months after our wedding. We had just got our wedding pictures back and kind of had that moment of, oh, that's what I look like in my wedding pictures that I had a 1.5 year engagement for, and I still couldn't do what I needed to do and like look and feel how I wanted to look and feel. And so I saw her transformation. I'm like, I look like her on this side and I want to look like her on this side. And I want that smile and that happiness. And I want to stay consistent with this, but nothing's ever worked for me. Like I was the girl that did the Slim Fast shakes, hydroxy cut pills, sweat pills, like wraps. I was into the quick fix stuff. And so I reached out to her, got started in her boot camp, and really right away, I don't want to say fell in love because it took me a while to really like enjoy working out, but I was in love with how I was feeling and the fact that I was actually finally for the first time in my life showing up for myself. And so with staying consistent with these programs, seeing results like not just physically, but emotionally, mentally. And she was a milspouse. I, at the time, was really struggling in my job to enjoy it. It was like sucking the life out of me. Struggling to find something every time we moved. I was like understanding, okay, this would be the pattern as a milspouse. Like I wanted to make a lot of money. I wanted to be really successful. I wanted to be this corporate big thing, whatever that meant. And I knew that that wasn't going to be possible for me moving all the time. I couldn't grow within a career. And so kind of slapped me in the face one day, like, Heather, coaching in this business can literally provide you everything that you're looking for. Like you can move with it. You can work it at any time. You can work it anywhere you go. It's helping you stay consistent with your own health and fitness journey and making you a better person, better wife. Like, why won't you just give this a chance? And I got on her coach info call like this. I had Nathan come with me because we were both kind of skeptical about everything. And from that point on, I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. Quit my job and have done this full time for the last 3 years and have never looked back. So that's a little bit of my story.
I'm a little bit different in the sense of so I'm Heather Blair, as she mentioned, and I started as 2 years before I started coaching. I was actually a challenger, and I say I was the world's worst challenger because of the fact that I didn't even complete a program. I was somebody who was currently working 70 plus hours a week in a full-time job that I was only being paid for 40 hours. I was, Heather said, sucking the life out of her. My job was sucking the life out of me. I thought that was expected of me. I was newly out of college, and I was like, this is what you do to get to the top. You work your butt off and run yourself into the ground. And I had recently moved from New York. I'm from New York originally, and I will always claim it as my home. And I now live in North Carolina. And I had moved here for my then boyfriend, now husband. So thankfully that all worked out. But I had moved down here to be closer to him after college, and I didn't know a single soul. So he still lived 2 to 3 hours away from me. I moved down here and didn't know anybody. I had no friends and I was not used to that at all. And so I poured every single ounce of me and all of my free time into my job. And unfortunately, because I did that in the beginning, it becomes the norm and they expect that of you. They expect you to reach those high goals. They expect you to work on the nights and weekends. And because you do it for so long. And I, like I said, failed miserably as a challenger, but then I was with a family friend at the time and she really didn't necessarily hold me accountable to this. And somewhere along the way, I found my coach, which is the same as Heather's, and I saw how happy she was. We didn't necessarily have a same path in life. I'm not a mill spouse. I don't have really a lot in common with her at all, to be honest, but I saw how happy she was and I saw the community of people that she was with, and that's what drew me into it because I knew how lonely I was. I was not used to being away from my support system. I went to college far from home, but I didn't think it through. When you're 18 years old and you're like, I'm going to move far away from home, I'm never looking back. And then you do it and you're like, what the heck am I supposed to do now? This is a terrible decision. And I didn't have any of those people around me. And I saw my coach having the time of her life with some of her best friends. And I wanted that. I wanted that community and I needed to figure out how to get it. So I similarly watched a coach info session, probably on the same one as Heather, because we started around the same time and we didn't know each other then. And I watched mine. She watched hers with her husband and I watched mine in secret. So he was sleeping next to me because she's on a different time zone than I am. And I watched them in the dark in bed. Basically, I could not even hear her because I listened to it so low so that he could not hear me because I was like, I don't know what he's going to think of this. And fast forward, I finally told him about it. I talked about it for a year. We got married. Like I said, it all worked out, thankfully, for me to move 10 hours away. And I told him that I wanted to do this. And he was like, what's the worst that can happen? He was somebody who was always into fitness. And he's like, I was never somebody who was into fitness. So he was like, the best thing that you can do is to work on yourself. And so I was like, okay, what do I have to lose? Still took me a year to do this. And after us getting married, where I was at the lowest point of my life, I should have been the happiest person that I've ever been. I was just married. We went on our dream honeymoon, married the love of my life, and I was miserable. And not because of him by any means. I don't want it to sound like that, but I was just at such a low point because I didn't know who I was anymore. I had lost so much of my purpose because I was in a career that I thought my entire life I was going to be in, and I hated it. And I still work that job today, but I have found a new purpose in life from coaching. I've been able to find my people. I found Heather, who is one of my closest friends now, and I can't imagine my life without her. And that's exactly why I started this. So yes, I started as a challenger, but when I really decided to coach, I started this for the business side of things, which is a little bit different than some people. And I don't think there's a right or wrong way, but I think that there's just different sides of this. And so for me, I knew I wanted to make this a career because I'm coming up on 10 years in my job that has sucked the life out of me. And I am ready to leave that, to be honest, and be home with our future kids and create a life with our future family. And that is something that I really wanted for this from the beginning. And I think that's kind of rare in this business, but I also want you to know that if that is you, if you see that as your future already, know that you're not alone, because I think there's two completely different sides of this. I'm not going to admit anyone. I think it flashed up.
No, you guys can still see us, okay, right?
This
Okay.
two-computer thing is
Yeah.
messing me up.
Just wanna make sure we're good. Okay, so really quick, what does a coach do? I feel like the word coach can kind of get confusing because we think of like personal trainer, or that we're like physically teaching the workouts. And that is not what we do. We leave that to the experts. I don't have a background in health or fitness. I don't claim to have any like background in nutrition or anything like that. Everything that I know that I help other women with is everything that I've learned through doing these programs and like through personal experience. We have actual trainers, like certified trainers, who have gone to school for this. Like they create the programs, they create the workout structure, they're in charge of all of that. And so what we do is obviously help them connect with a specific program. Outside of if I'm doing a specific launch for a program, I will connect someone with a program that I think fits them best. So if someone comes to me, maybe like postpartum and is like, hey, I'm a few months postpartum, I'm looking for XYZ, I'm not going to set her up with like something that someone comes to me and says, hey, I've been like 5 years into my fitness journey, I'm right, like I'm going to kind of navigate that with each individual client. But ultimately, we are here to encourage, we are here to support, we're here to help other women change their life like we changed ours. So works on becoming their best self. You're a product of the product. So obviously you're following these programs, you're taking your supplements, like you're letting this entire community change your life from the inside out. Having conversations with people. So just creating relationships through social media or in person. Committing, I put here too, committing to helping 3 people a month. And this is something that is just kind of a minimum for our team and has really helped us stay consistent with growing our business. It is not something that like, if you don't hit that goal, you're kicked out or you are no longer welcome or you go inactive or anything like that. It's not like there's nothing like hard set with Beachbody like that. Like, oh, you have to pay X amount to stay. Like, no, it's just a minimum goal that we set for our team that will really help you stay consistent in growing your business. Sharing on social media, I usually say like you should have a public account and be obviously willing to share. I was talking about this on my stories today. I think sharing on social media today is huge. Like that in itself has changed my life, not just like personally getting out of my comfort zone and growing in confidence, but also connecting me in other ways. So like not just having one single source of income through Beachbody, but also connecting with other brands and things like that. So I think sharing on social media is really important. Not saying you need to share your dirty, dark secrets. When I first started sharing, I had 700 followers and I never talked on my stories. I just shared my workouts and that's pretty much it because I was not comfortable. I didn't know what I was doing. I wish I started sharing sooner, but it takes time, I think, for you to kind of find your groove with what you're comfortable with. And now y'all see me, I can't shut up. Like I cannot shut up on there. I just want to keep talking. And so you'll find your groove with it, but I don't want you to think like, oh, I see them showing up, you know, and they're talking and they're doing this and I'm not there yet, so I can't be successful. We try to show like when we first started, what things looked like. And we were a hot mess. Like that's how everybody starts. And it's great because you just kind of fumble your way through it and then consistently show up. And we put here, if you don't sacrifice for what you want now, what you want becomes the sacrifice. And I think when I thought about my job, I always thought I want to be really successful, corner office, heels, pencil skirt, working a million hours, because that to me was success. And I thought, okay, well, I'm probably not going to have the best family life. I may not be the stay-at-home mom because that's what I want. And it kind of hit me getting into this thinking like, why is it this is the job that I want, so therefore this is the life that I have, instead of this is the life that I want, what kind of job can provide that for me? And I don't know if it was like getting older or whatever it was, but I was like, wow, I want this like magnificent, incredible life with my husband, with future kids. I want to travel. I want to do these big, amazing things that I see these other people doing that I thought at one point was just not possible for me. And that's a whole nother thing about women and our own limiting beliefs, right? But I really realized, okay, this is the kind of life I want. What kind of job can be the vehicle to get me there? And this has been that for me, and allowing me to work from home, allowing me like to see success. And okay.
I don't know why that made me emotional. Thank you for talking when you were talking about that, because I feel so similar. We look at success in completely different ways, and like, why can't we? I want to be there for my kids, and why can't we have that and build a career? And it's just crazy. I don't know why that made me emotional, but who makes a good coach? So I am sure everybody on this call thinks the same things that we thought when we were getting started, right? We were both terrified to jump into this. I mean, we both watched these things and we're very skeptical of it. And basically, who makes a good coach is somebody who lifts others up, who's supportive, who wants to help people be the best versions of themselves. So Heather said the number one job for us is to work on ourselves and become the best versions of us. And in doing that, we help others become their best selves in the process, right? You have to be someone who has no excuses. I'm not here to sugarcoat things. We've been in this for 3+ years, both of us, and this business is hard. There's going to be ups, there's going to be very high highs and very low lows. And you have to be willing to push through those when those times get tough, right? And you have to be someone who's a go-getter, self-starter, who is willing to take initiative, because at the end of the day, you are the CEO of your business. And how Heather runs her business is different than I run my business, and how different is you're going to run your business. It's up to you what works best for you and what you want that to look like. And that means you have to be willing to take the first steps to do so, right? You have to be caring about other people. You want to be involved with them, positivity. I always say there's enough negativity on social media that you want to be a light for somebody else. I want to get on there and see somebody who's going to make me feel better about myself at the end of the day. And I think that that's what a lot of this is because we have those self-limiting beliefs about ourselves, and we want to feel better about that at the end of the day. And that's part of our jobs, is to show others how good they can feel. We both said that we were in jobs, or I'm still in a job that sucks the life out of us, but coaching has brought us to life. And it's almost selfish of us not to share that with others, because we didn't both fully understand what that meant or how that was involved, but we have become completely different people. And while we didn't know that about each other, we've talked about that enough to know we are very different than the Heathers of, which is funny that we can just say that and it works for us, but the Heathers of 3+ years ago. I am a completely different person for the better, right? And you want to be someone who's going to lead from the front, lead by example. If you're not showing up as your best self and showing others what's possible, why are they going to want to do this with you, right? Why are they going to want to trust you to do this? And something like a health and fitness journey is already vulnerable enough that you have to show them that it's okay to fail. It's okay to stumble along the way, as long as they continue to show up for themselves. That's going to be what's most important. Being resilient, somebody who doesn't necessarily quit on themselves when things get tough, right? I told you there's going to be low moments of this, and you just have to be willing to push through that and know that there's a bigger picture with all of this. You have to share your life authentically on social media. I know it's scary. Heather said she didn't want to show up either. It took me 6 months to talk on my stories. I didn't realize it at the time, but I looked back at it and I was like, what was I doing? I was the most awkward person ever. I would like show my shake. I would do a little workout routine, but I wouldn't talk. And I was the most awkward person. And I'm like, now, similar to Heather, I can't shut up on my stories. I just keep going. People are probably like, okay, we get it, just stop. But like, you have to be willing to show up as yourself, because you're looking for the yous in this world, right? You're looking to create those people who you want to be friends with, that you can see yourself spending time with. You need to be willing to take on new challenges. I've said this 5 times now, but it is a challenging business. And I think that we see the highlights of it and the trips and the friendships and things like that. And sometimes what gets lost is the hard work behind it. There's a lot of messy in between, behind the scenes stuff that goes involved with it. And you have to be willing to kind of put yourself out there and get uncomfortable with the unknown, because it's completely different than what we're taught. It's completely different than what feels comfortable to us, right? You go to a 9-to-5 job, you do the things that you think you're supposed to do. And this job is going against all of that in the best ways possible, and makes you really grow and get outside of the comfort zone. But you have to be willing to take that leap of faith to begin with to get there.
And I want to say too, when Heather says like that it's really challenging, I would say this business and what we do is very simple. Like the tasks that we do, we show up, we work. I mean, working on yourself is hard. I'm going to like working on yourself and showing up for your own journey and working out every day and like, following your nutrition plan, like that's difficult. Right. And so setting that example and staying consistent with yourself, yes, that's difficult, but like showing up, okay, sharing on social media, like these are simple things. What gets hard is having to show up every single day consistently and pushing through the times that you may not be seeing results. Or like, it's just like a health and fitness journey. The results are happening. You just don't really see them right away. And it's the same with this business. And it's those that continue, like she said, we've been here 3 years now. And I have seen coaches come in 2-3 months. Oh, I'm not seeing success. This isn't working for me. They peace out. I'm like, this is not, no, that's not what we're saying. Like, you need to stay consistent with this to see the long-term benefits of it. And so I think that's the challenging part. It's hard to stay consistent through those times. Okay. How much time do we have? Like 5 minutes. Okay. Common hesitations. I'm sure we've both felt all of these things at one point, but I'm not good at selling. If you are saying this to yourself, perfect, because I think that this business should not be about selling and more about inspiring people to get started with you. I don't get on my stories and say like, buy this shake, it's great. Buy my workout program, it is great. I say, I changed my life with this workout program. It's incredible. Like, this is what I did to get to where I am. I just want everybody in the world to know about it, right? So not selling, but more so inspiring and serving my community. I don't have time. I have seen the busiest, like 4 kiddos, works full-time job and coaches and runs a kick-ass business with Beachbody. I would say the busier you are, the more focused you are with your time. When I quit my job and came to do it full-time, I was like all over the place. It's almost too much time, right? And I wasn't that focused with it because I'm like, well, I have all this time to do all of this stuff. Instead, on the days that I'm like, wow, I only have 2 hours to get my work done, I get all of my work done in those 2 hours. And so we have a plan that really breaks down, like, call it a power hour. And so if you're like, I only have an hour a day to work my business, perfect. These are the things that we want you to do consistently every day to see success in that hour. I'm not inspiring. Again, a limiting belief. Like, I have noticed that humans, we're just genuinely curious about how other humans live. And so things that you do that may just seem very normal to you can be incredibly inspiring and motivating to somebody else. Something as simple as like getting your kids ready for school. Like, you show up a phone and you get your kids ready for school. People be so interested in that. Like, well, what backpack did you get them? And how did you pack their lunch today? And what time do you get up to get them to, like, we are just genuinely so nosy and curious about one another. And so saying like, I'm not inspiring, it's, you just haven't tapped into like everything that you have to offer, because we all have so much to offer. And that's all I'm saying. Okay. I'm not in shape. I know some people are like, I don't want to start my coaching journey until I have a transformation, until I'm like really in. No, if you are starting your health and fitness journey, and you're interested in coaching, I want you to start that at the same time, because you taking your community on that journey with you, they want to see how you got there. If I just show up in 80 days, hey, like Abigail on here, I know she's doing 75 hard. If I just don't share that journey and I show up 75 days later and I'm like, look at me, I lost 20 pounds. It's like, okay, that's great. But like, how did you do that? I didn't watch you do it. I didn't see what you did. I don't know if I'm capable of doing it because I didn't see it. Versus like taking them through the down and dirty work that you did to get to that transformation. Like, that's what people want to see. And that is the most relatable part of your journey. So absolutely start sharing from day one. Most of Beachbody coaches have zero background in health and fitness. We have a background in caring about other women and wanting to help people feel as good as we feel. It has nothing to do with the health and fitness side. I'm afraid I'm going to annoy people. You just got to get over that. It's going to happen. You're going to feel that way. There will be people in your life that won't support you, but they don't pay your bills. Okay. I don't know enough people. There's 7 billion people on the planet. We have issues with like people being overweight, people not being healthy, people not taking care of themselves. We need more people like people are like, oh, I don't know if I want to get into Beachbody because isn't the market saturated? I'm like, I wish the market was saturated. I wish, because if everybody was a Beachbody coach, the world would be a healthier, happier planet. And so you absolutely know enough people, and the more that you show up and stay consistent, you're going to grow your following, and you're all like, you will, I promise you, you will never run out of human beings. There will always be more human beings that need help.
The spouse perspective, I think that Heather talks better to this almost because she included Nathan from the start. I told you that I hid this from my husband and I was nervous of what he was going to say about it. But see this completely different than us. And I think that that was my biggest lesson throughout this, and still 3 years in, is over communicate this as best as possible, because they really have a completely different mindset. They are super skeptical of this, and rightfully so, because it's not a normal path, right? They think that this is an MLM, that this is a pyramid scheme. And I know Heather was like, yeah, this is a pyramid scheme,
I totally thought
because
that's what it was.
that's a word that's tossed around, and we didn't realize it, or I didn't necessarily understand what a pyramid scheme really meant until coming in this. And we had to really say, like, that's illegal, first of all, right? That is not allowed. Beachbody's been around for 20 plus years, and they wouldn't still be here if it was illegal, right?
Yeah.
So let's start with that. But also, when you think of a pyramid, right? Like I'm gonna draw it out here, like a pyramid, like a triangle. What company is not organized that way? You have a CEO at the top, and they make the most, right? No matter how many hours you put in. I told you that I was working 30 hours over my salaried position, meant absolutely nothing. And the CEO was always going to make more than me. Here, you're the CEO of your company, so you can outrank us, and we hope that you do. Like, we encourage that. You can outrank us in a matter of time. We can outrank our coach. Like, there's not a hierarchy here. There's nobody at the top that's going to always be outranking you, out earning you, anything like that. I think there's a mutual benefit that if you sign up with us, then that helps our coach, and vice versa. This is not like that at all. It literally, your business is to help grow your team and your fitness that way. The cost to start your own business, is what you're consuming. You're drinking your shakes, right? You're drinking your Energize, which if you're not, you should be, because we cannot live without it. And that's all your cost is. You're not sitting there hoarding all of this product and shipping it out. I know that Nathan thought this when they started, which I think is funny. And that's kind of like an old mindset of like, I'm needing to purchase all of this Shakeology, and then I'm going to need to send it out to all of my people. And that's not how this works. Everything comes from Beachbody. The only things you are actually purchasing and maybe storing is what you're consuming each month. And if you're drinking it and being a product of the product, which is a part of your job here, you're going through that monthly anyways, and you won't ever have this like back stock of it, if you will. The time spent working time on the phone. This is something that I think for me and my husband is still an ongoing thing. And it ties into this business hours that we've got next, is because it's hard for them to understand that we're just constantly on our phone. And again, I think that's where the over communication comes to play, is like, I'm not just sitting here scrolling on my phone, playing games, doing whatever, like I'm working. And I think that comes with time and understanding of how that necessarily works, and I'm seeing it. And I think finally 3 years later, they're understanding of what that means. And it's hard for them to see that, because for me, my husband works very late hours. And so our only time together is at night sometimes. And he sees me on my phone and we're watching a show, and he gets kind of annoyed by it. And we have to have that conversation of like, okay, let's set some realistic expectations around those business hours. Heather is fortunate enough to work this full time. I'm still working my full-time job. So I think that makes it even more important to set those hours and expectations for yourself, so that it's easy when you work from your phone to let this creep into all hours of the day. And it's not healthy either, right? So if you think about this as your corporate job, if you're in an office and you work 24/7, that's not benefiting anybody at the end of the day. You're going to run yourself into the ground. You're going to burn yourself out. You're going to probably ruin your relationships, right? So you have to look at this the same way. I think it's easy for us to get caught up with the fact that this is on our phone and this is a different mindset, and that all of those kind of like corporate traditional roles go out the window. And it's okay to still set those in place. And again, the communication, the expectation management is, have those conversations. There's going to be different hurdles as you grow and as things evolve, and you work through those things. But the best thing that you can do is be upfront and say, this is what I want to do. I'll be honest, I have no idea what this involves. That's what at least was for me, that I just kind of jumped in and I was like, I'm going to do this thing. I don't know what's going to happen. And talk through those times and been like, wow, I I notice I'm on my phone a lot more. I'm noticing I'm having to do these things and having those communications, and also know that it's not forever. Once you build that up, you figure out what works for you and you're able to kind of dictate things more. But this is almost backwards of a job where in an office up front, I told you I was working 70 hours, right? Now I'm like, that is crazy. I don't have the time to do that because I'm also doing these other things on the side. And so now that I've kind of like built my career and that I've shown what I'm capable of, I'm trying to back off, which again, it's kind of hard to do because you're like, they already expect that from you. But this almost is opposite of that, that you put a lot of that time up front for that time freedom, the financial freedom, whatever that looks like for you in the future. So I think that that's a really big thing to have a conversation with your spouse about. Is it's opposite in that sense. It takes a lot of time. You don't necessarily see that return up front, but you have to understand what's possible in the future that you put in the work now. The 1% rule, we were talking about it earlier, is it's all the compound effect of what you do now is going to lead you to those results.
Okay, we are gonna wrap this up, but last thing we'll talk about, do you actually make life-changing income? And you'll see, I'll first say the Team Beachbody income disclaimer does not guarantee any level of success. Basically, you need to work hard for what you get. Like, this is not some get rich quick thing. If you came onto this call thinking that, this is probably not for you. It takes time. What I will say is I had very large goals for myself, financially, success wise, with my career. When I got involved in this and saw the potential, saw what my coach was able to produce, her coach, other top coaches in the network, within like 6-7 years of them working this business, it blew my goals out of the water. And so that right there, for me, I was like, I was not dreaming big enough. I was not thinking big enough for my life. And I know we do that. We actually have a team call tonight on vision and like looking at our life and like what we want, life goals, not just business goals, but life goals. But do you actually make life-changing income? You won't see any income listed because I think life-changing is different for everybody. $50 a week could be life-changing to somebody, right? So we had asked some of the girls on our team to say like what changed their life in a financial way without like saying, right, a specific dollar amount, but it's allowed me to be a stay-at-home mom, provide a significant amount of savings for our family vacation. I put my kids into sports in the middle of the pandemic. Previously couldn't afford it, sending my boys to private school. I'm still new here, not making anything like you guys, but I did make enough to cover my power bill last month. Little wins. I was able to replace my stylist income. So you'll kind of get a taste of, yeah, that. I clicked the wrong thing, sorry. Oh yeah, perfect. You put this in here too. So this is from Beachbody. This specifically are like quarterly bonuses that as you start to grow and build your team, Beachbody gives quarterly bonuses. And these are just some like figures from that. What I will say is we get paid in a few different ways, through commission and through bonuses. And so this is just like one piece of this. So on top of a normal, like your normal check, this is an additional income that Beachbody gives based on your rank and you growing your team. And then
you've got the different enrollment options. So of course, there's going to be several different ways. But again, if you enroll as a customer, as a preferred customer, as a coach, it's all the same. Nothing makes a difference here. It's all going to be the same exact cost, but talk to each of us, whoever invited you here, that is going to be the best route for you, because depending on what that looks like, if you're already involved, if you already got Beachbody on demand, whatever that is, it's going to be a little bit different. So you've got the different options here. It is all $20 off this month because of a promo that they're running. But again, depending on where you're at, if you've already got things, it's just going to depend on what makes the most sense for you and what we're going to recommend. We're not ever going to recommend something that doesn't make the most sense to you. We're here to help you out. And this is exactly how we got started. And that's exactly what we want to do for you. So again, we'll work with you to figure out which one you should be going with, but there's several different options for you there depending on where you're at in your journey.
perfect. And then we like to end on this. If you're looking for a sign, consider this it. And then I know I already said this, instead of thinking what your life thinking your life needs to fit around the job that you have. Why do we have that mindset? Like switch it to, I want this life. What job can provide that life for me? And something really big that we're focusing on this year is like thinking about life goals. Like, do you want to invest in something? Do you want a vacation home? What kind of car do you drive? What do your clothes look like? What does your family look like? Do you have a family? Do you travel with that family? Like, what are those kind of, do you run a foundation? I don't know, right? Like, what are those kind of life goals? And what are you not thinking about because of the limiting beliefs you have about yourself? Really sit down and get honest with yourself. What do I want out of my life? And what vehicle can get me there? And for me, when I sat down and really mapped everything out and knew the potential with this company, I knew that Beachbody could be that vehicle to get me there, because I literally have seen it firsthand with so many of these women. So if you're looking for a sign, consider this it. If you have any questions at all, like, please make sure, reach out to us, let us know. We're here. We love to get on like one-on-one calls too. So if you're like, I just want to chat and meet and kind of have like a more intimate call, we can definitely do that. But really excited that you just took a step and got on this call. I know for us, like that was, I mean, she's watching it on low volume in her bed. Like, I know it's a big step. So we just appreciate you coming tonight and listening.
I think that's really it. If anybody has any questions, I know we went a little bit over. But if anybody has any questions, let me stop sharing this. We are happy to answer them. Otherwise, we will let you go. We won't make you stay on too much longer with us. But yeah, we just want to open that up there, and then that's really it.
No, this was great. Thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Of
Thank
course.
you.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you. I think I'd like to set up a one-on-one call with Heather. I just have a few specific, or sorry.
No, you're
Heather.
good.
Yeah.
We're very used to it.
I just have a few specific questions
For sure.
directed to you. Yeah. So,
Yeah, just
Thank you.
email me what date and time would work for you.
okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. Awesome, ladies. And we can send you, we recorded this, so we can send the recording too if you want to like replay it or play it for a spouse or something. So. Okay, great. Well, I hope you